Hey, welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. Hope everybody's doing fantastic out there. If you guys could subscribe, that'd be great, and appreciate you stopping by the show. I want to get to this. This was an interesting tweet that came out from our guy Ethan Skolnick over at 5 Reasons. Go check out the boys and everything they do over there. They do fantastic work. But there was this tweet that Ethan had regarding the Miami Heat's job opportunities in training camp, and I found it pretty juicy. Because I like the mindset coming into this camp, that there's a lot of stuff that's going to be earned. But if you guys didn't see it, Ethan had tweeted out, I was told this weekend that the Heat have 2 definite starters and the other spots will be subject to competition. Put it on first or on off the floor first. So go subscribe to their Discord off the floor server for juicy nuggets like that. But yeah, I found this to be an interesting one because first of all, we can knock off, the obvious 2 who have their starting spots, right? So it's Jimmy, obvious going to start. Bam, obvious he's going to start. So then we can look at the other 3 pieces. And if you guys didn't see, talked about, did some bold takes, It was August. It's some August basketball talk where we're trying to get to the season, baby. But I was throwing some bold takes out there. And one of them that I had was I think that Kel'el will get a starting job by the end of the year. That was one of my bold takes. Looking around, I'm like, you know what? Something about this kid. There's something about the kid, the way I think he's going to move, the way he's going to help things fit around, the size I think the Heat want to play with. Almost like the Energizer Bunny way that Nico plays. I wonder if that couldn't be better served on the bench at times. He kind of can fit in with anybody because of his willingness to shoot threes. I will say, after I did that video, I did watch his game against the Bucks, Nikola Jovic's, and I was like, I don't know. I really love Nico too. So I am glad that I'm not Eric Spoelstra in this case where he's got to make these decisions. But let's look at the projected starting lineup here from the Miami Heat. We would assume the favorites would be what it was projected to end like last year, which would be Terry Rozier in the backcourt with Tyler Herro. Say whoever you want to say is the point guard, shooting guard, but that's your 1-2 duo. Bam is essentially your 5. Jimmy is your 3 with Nico as your 4. So we're basically saying that you have your backcourt up for grabs and the big next to Bam is up for grabs. Okay. So we can surmise to say Kevin Love probably not going to be in the competition because he's going to play his, 12 to 15 minutes, play balls to the wall. He's a bench guy. He's not starting. I would be surprised by that. Unless he had some fountain of youth that we're unaware of in the off season. But I would say that going into camp, if this is a competition, you have Kel'el and Nikola Jovic battling for essentially who's starting next to Bam. If it's Kel'el, you could call it a 5. If it's Nico, you could call it a 4. Spo thinks all these things are antiquated anyway. Essentially, the big next to Bam. I think this is still most likely. I think Nico would have to really stink up the joint to not get it. But I will say, I was really high on the idea that Nico was going to start out of camp last year, and that did not happen. Spo did not go in that direction. And, the Miami Heat were in a spot where he ended up having to go to the G League, and he was trying to play the 5 in the G League. And then you had Jimmy Butler come to his rescue and be like, Nico's not a 5. Stop playing him at the 5, which was cute and trolling, but then also was true. And looking at it last year, opening night, Kevin Love was the opening night star. Man, it's crazy to even look back at this. Kevin Love was the opening night power forward last year. I can't imagine that's going to be the case this year. Kyle Lowry, that was a big thing. Was Kyle Lowry going to win the starting point guard job from, essentially he was going up against Josh Richardson, who I think was banged up in camp anyway, so it didn't end up even being a competition. And then Drew Smith. Everybody's boy, Drew Smith. I'm sorry what people do to you, Drew. It's bull bleep. I can't wait till you light up a game for 25 and everybody's on your you know what. But anyway, Nico Kel'el is one of the battles that's out there. And I'm still going to give the nod to Nico. I still think, intuition, also got to wonder about his health and all that. But I would say Nico, I think I still lean on him getting the job. But, if Kel'el's awesome and they just like the fit and they just want to go for it, possible. Remember Spo tinkered out of one preseason. He had like Omer Yurtseven starting a preseason game next to Bam 2 years ago. Some of the broadcasters thought like that was possible, that was going to be, some of the guys around the team broadcast, they're like, yeah, we thought that was going to be a thing. Like he was going to get the start. So it's one of those where like, if I had to look at the most likely replacement out of this, I still go to what my bold prediction was, which was Kel'el swooping in there and starting right out of the gate. So that'll be an interesting competition. Okay, the backcourt's an interesting one. So you have Terry Rozier and you have Tyler Herro, if they're really battling. Then if you look at the team's roster, most likely who are up to actually get starting gigs. I'm not saying both, I'm saying one. Duncan Robinson, who I think the Heat really like starting Duncan Robinson. And I think that they like the way that fits. And then Jaime Jaquez Jr. So I'm going to put Jaime aside for a second because I'm just going to put Duncan. Let's talk about the idea of playing Duncan Robinson, starting Duncan Robinson. Big hub for the offense. Easy fit with everybody. Gets off to fast starts. Well-rounded game. And could essentially sit next to Tyler or Terry Rozier. And you'd feel okay about it. But I can't imagine Spo's going to, like, we think this season they're going to get bigger. Could he really take Nikola Jovic's starting job? I suppose I can't rule that out either. But I'm just going to leave this in the box of, could Duncan Robinson get one of the starting two backcourt spots? This is an interesting one because you have Terry Rozier, who comes here, didn't really get to be fully himself. We saw the capabilities of him last year. He's been in that six-man role. He's been a microwave. He's been a guy who just kind of comes in and gets his buckets. So could he go back to the bench and do that role? And then Tyler Herro, we already know he's been sensational at that. I mean, and that was one of the things where even Udonis Haslem says this over the summer. Back in May. It wasn't even the summer. It was in May. I think Cinco de Mayo. I remember it was at the Canelo fight for this. And he's saying that, we were better with Tyler as a six-man. Why can't he be a six-man? He's already paid, which is a fair argument. And if the Heat are really going to go into this, Tyler's, I think, will be the professional about it. Will he be honest about it every time he's asked about how happy is it? Yeah, probably telling you he's not that thrilled with it. Terry may be less drama just because he's not as big on social media. He is newer here. He comes from Charlotte where they were losing a lot. So he feels like I'll do whatever it takes to win. There's just a little less institutional drama there. He's wanted to be on the Heat. So maybe if there's an idea if this is just a flat out competition, hey, we'll see. But if there was one where it's like, hey, we would like this fit of Duncan in the starting lineup, do we like it next to Terry? Do we like it next to Tyler? Or is it a case of, hey, we got this, but we think, hey, why don't we have Terry Rozier be the sixth man? We like this fit a little bit better. We got our two bombers on the outside. Not the best defensive backcourt in the world by a mile, but neither is the other option either. So if I had to say that Duncan was going to supplant somebody, I'm going to lean Terry Rozier because I just don't see them benching Tyler. I don't see them doing it. He would really have, and I say this too, Tyler would really have to get blown out in this competition. And I don't know if I really see that happening. You know, I don't know if I see him losing a competition to any of those guys. And then the final one that's interesting, because Jimmy ain't playing the 4, so I don't see them putting Triple J in the starting lineup and keeping Jimmy and Bam and Tyler and Terry. Could Jaime Jaquez Jr. actually replace somebody in the starting lineup? Could that actually happen? Could he actually earn his way onto the roster? And here's the thing that's interesting with basketball, right? They're going to go away to the Bahamas, which still I find ridiculous, but whatever. They got this week-long training camp. They got a scrimmage, and then they get into like a handful of preseason games, but like 3 of them are, you know, runs where the starters are going to get like 3 quarters, right? The other ones will be like all the two-way guys. It'll be the Pella Larson show and Keyshawn Johnson and all the summer league guys. So I just have a hard time wrapping my mind around what Jaime is going to have to do in these camps to really show he's that dude now, to take either Terry or Tyler stuff. The other thing that concerns you with Jaime is we don't really know what his shooting's going to be, right? So that's one of those where you have Jimmy Bam, capable shooter, and Jimmy Bam showing flashes of it. Jaime, the most inconsistent of, you know, the potential of Duncan. We know he's one of the greats when it comes to shooting the 3. Not a spacing issue, can be electric. So if you're going to bounce somebody, you know, do you feel like you're going to have that creation? You're going to have that pressure? Or do you feel like everyone's going to kind of lag off? Because he kind of likes to work slowly, likes to work in that post. Is athletic, and I think that, you know, we'll see a guy whose body can handle the load of the NBA season a little bit more. But if I really bear on it from Ethan's tweet, that three jobs are essentially up for competition here. If I had to like power rank it, I'd say like Nico's spot's the most vulnerable, with Terry and then Tyler, if I had to guess. And you're going to say like, hey, politics shouldn't matter. If they truly mean that coming into the year, hey, tip of the cap. I think everybody wants to see it. But also, let's not be ridiculous about it and act like Tyler Herro is going to go out there and just screw the pooch and lose the job. Like, you know, the guy is still very, very talented. And do I see a world where somebody just blows the doors off and be like, we got to go with him as 6-man again? That's the way it's got to be. I'm skeptical of it. Just because we've been there, done that. Terry, it's a little bit different. I feel like there's less baggage with that. But I like Terry Rozier starting. I like his speed. I like his crazy shot creation. I want to see what this really is. We didn't really see it. The interesting one is Nico. That's the one that just feels like that could for sure be a job up for grabs. Could you even go super small? Could Jaime win that job? Maybe. I don't think so, but maybe. Kel'el, you got to be intrigued by it. We got to go see how he performs and what goes out. But yeah, that is, if the Heat are truly going to go into this direction of we're going to have a competition, look, they said that last year. Spo wouldn't reveal his cards. You know, Kyle Lowry ended up getting the starting job by the end of it. Now, writing was on the wall, and, you know, it ended up being with Kevin Love and Kyle Lowry both losing their starting spots, and Kyle Lowry eventually being on the outs. But I think the thing they would really want is to get Duncan Robinson in the starting lineup without any feelings. Like if I had to guess, would people's ideal one be Terry, Duncan, Jimmy, Bam, Kel'el, and then Tyler, Jaime, Nico, coming off the bench. It's interesting. They got some interesting choices. They definitely do. And I wonder if they're going to be less friendly about spreading the wealth around with all those minutes this year. They got more young guys, so I think they could be a little bit harsher with it. Spo doesn't feel the need to uphold, promises like maybe he does to vets or anything like that. Not that he won't ever not play guys. He'll have those conversations, but I am curious. I guess I should put J. Rich in there too as a competition, but I don't know. I think J. Rich is, I think his bench defense, and I guess I got to put Haywood, that's probably disrespectful. Like I didn't put Haywood in the conversation as starting power forward. He should be in the conversation for starting power forward too, in fairness. I think we're all just of the mindset the Heat want to go bigger. So I just think if Haywood has this monster blow up and his 3-ball is just off the chain, all right, I can't rule that out. And then, for J. Rich, I mean, he would have to be like, a combination of D-Wade, Ray Allen, it feels like, to also take one of those starting backcourt gigs. I don't see that being the case. That one I don't feel like I'm being as dismissive. Haywood, I gotta give a little. They did give him a contract to come back, so I suppose that's a possibility. But my mind immediately went to, hey, can the rookie beat out the young Nikola Jovic? That is there a young versus young battle there? But listen, that sounds like it could be an intriguing camp.